My name's Scott, and I am at a place where I need some help. Over the last year and a half, a lot has happened for me personally. In March of 2020, I lost my job. After that happened, I decided it was important for me to get sober from drugs and alcohol. I've struggled with food my whole life, but as I got older, drugs and alcohol kind of crept in. It became something that was causing me to be a person that I didn't really want to be. Currently have 16 months of sobriety, and I am so grateful for the changes that has brought about. One of those changes is that I was able to advocate for my health. For about 6 or 7 years, I've had pretty significant pain in my feet and ankles. I took anti-inflammatory medication. The podiatrist suggested that I get braces for my ankles, and I did that, and it improved my stability in walking, but it didn't decrease the pain. Shortly after I lost my job, I ended up having dinner with a friend of mine from high school who I hadn't talked to in quite a long time, and she told me that her husband is an anesthesiologist, and she and her husband operate a pain management clinic in College Station, Texas. My mom has been dealing with a diagnosis of Alzheimer's that happened in late 2018. And my mom and dad were struggling pretty significantly. So I went and spent some time with them. It was a difficult time with them, but being in Texas allowed me the opportunity to go see Kristen and her husband. And Brian was almost immediately able to diagnose that my problem was not arthritis. It was something called peripheral neuropathy, and it was causing the degeneration of my ankle joint. I found out I have the condition in both legs. There's also some neurological things happening in my arms and hands, but the issue in my legs is caused something called a Charcot joint. So my ankle started to deteriorate, and my foot started to turn to the side. And I started walking on the side of my foot. A couple of years ago, I broke the 5th metatarsal in my foot, and it's just been kind of a mess for the last 6 or 7 years. But finally, Brian was able to connect me with a diagnosis, and we found a surgeon and a neurologist to help in that process. And I was scheduled to have surgery in the beginning of November. Because of the pandemic, we decided to postpone it until after the holidays. It was determined that I should get the vaccine before having the surgery because it would require a long stay in a nursing home facility, which is where I am right now. So we postponed the surgery again until I could get vaccinated. I was fully vaccinated by the middle of April. At that same time, my husband and I had been experiencing quite a bit of stress and struggle in our marriage, and in March he made the difficult decision to leave our marriage. I'm grateful to him for that. I didn't really know how to navigate that, and given the things that were going on with my family and my health, I was scared. As difficult as it was, after a bit of time I began to realize that I had a lot of gratitude for what he had been brave enough to do. My surgery was scheduled for May, and in mid-May I had, as I was driving to get preoperative testing for the surgery on my ankle, I had a heart attack while I was driving. I went to urgent care, was taken by ambulance to the hospital, and was admitted, where they did an angiogram and an echocardiogram, and there was no cause determined, but it was certain that I had a heart attack. Subsequent to that, I followed up with a cardiologist. We did a cardiac MRI, and it was determined that I have myocarditis and that I had 11% of my heart die. I had the surgery finally on August 3rd. It's been 5 weeks. I need to be what is called non-weight bearing for 16 weeks. So I've got 11 more weeks where I can't put any weight on my right leg. The reason that I'm asking for help is that I am on disability, I have a number of medical expenses, as you can imagine, but what is more of a concern is the expense to take care of my dog Kiki. She has been my heart. She's been with me since she was 3 months old. And she turned 8 while I was here in the nursing home. I'm not going to be able to walk probably until the beginning of next year. When I go home, which will be in the next week, I'm going to need help walking her, scheduled walks twice a day, and that's pretty expensive. So I'm starting this GoFundMe to ask for help in paying for Kiki and the dog walking that will be required. And then I've also realized that I probably need to move to a handicap accessible home to potentially prepare for long-term disability. I'm filing for federal disability after having been on state disability for almost a year. As this condition is degenerative and I have it in both legs, I have to take care of my right foot and be protective of the left. So I go back to the fact that 16 months ago I got sober, and that led to all of these challenges in my life and a really difficult year and a half. But I am probably the most certain of myself. I feel the most loved and the most supported by the people in my life. And I feel the most okay inside for the first time in my life. So all of that, like, I'm super grateful for the path of the last 18 months, as difficult as it's been. And I just am filled with hope for the future. So I hope that you can find a way to contribute to this effort, and I would be very, very grateful. Thanks for listening, and stay safe and be well.